Hey there everybody, Ian Boswell here, nice to see you. I'm going to be talking to you today about my build team, which I use in Guild Wars, which I sometimes refer to as the Whack-A-Mole build team. You see, with Guild Wars 2 looming on the horizon, I figured it was about time for me to share my secrets I've used repeatedly to clear normal mode and hard mode in PVE, that's player versus environment mode of Guild Wars, including taking several newbie players along with me for a free ride and some fun conversation. Well, I should start by saying that this build team is based around my own personal experimentation with AI to try and figure out what types of spells they activate more commonly and with the most efficiency. It's not based around using the best combination of skills that work in tandem together, but rather working with how 3 AI units that are following you around as heroes would then be able to perform. So think about that in mind when you're looking at the build, and don't try to judge it based on what the skills are that are actually on the bar. What you'll be seeing here is months worth of testing and application to try and develop the most effective build team using 3 AI heroes and 1 monk as the party lead. And I might as well get started by also saying this, don't knock it until you try it. Yeah. Now obviously some of these skills are open to interpretation and can be swapped around. I recommend keeping the elites and some other basic stuff, but I'll go into it in more detail as we continue. For the starters, let me just very quickly show you what every character in the party's build should look like. Here is the Monk's build. And now here is the Mesmer Heroes build. Here is the Necromancer Heroes build. And here is the Elementalist Heroes build. And sometimes you can bring 2 Elementalists and a Necro that have the same build, or you can bring 3 Elementalists if you really want to just speed clear an area with raw damage, and you're able to do that. That's usually more of a normal mode strategy, though. Now, the heroes that I personally like to use are Gwyn, Vec, and Olias, though really it doesn't matter who you choose to bring hero-wise as long as they're of the proper class. Now, bear in mind that you may need the Eye of the North expansion pack and all 3 of the original Guild Wars games. That's Prophecies, Nightfall, and Factions. Now I will go through a quick rundown of each of the skills on each hero's bar. Let's start with Gwyn, my Mesmer hero here. Remember, the only other Mesmer hero available in the game is Norgu from Nightfall. Now, Panic is an elite hex spell which has just recently been unnerfed, I guess you could say, or maybe buffed by an update, and it allows for large numbers of foes in an area to be interrupted, and it's a very powerful skill. Mistrust is another powerful skill which allows for a large amount of damage to be dealt to a spellcaster. This spell combines well with Unnatural Signet, which then allows you to spread damage around an AoE effect because it will damage targets around an enchanted or hexed target. Power Drain is simple energy management. While Well of Blood can sometimes be helpful to the group, the thing you need to be careful with, though, is that make sure Gwyn is not overusing Well of Blood, because you want to keep some exploitable corpses around for your minion master in the party. Blood Ritual is a real lifesaver. I've always wanted to have a hero in my group that had Blood Ritual, and finally I found an opportunity with Gwyn, because I had a lot of attribute points that I could put into anything. It didn't have to be blood magic, but in this case I chose blood magic specifically so that I could have that extra +3 energy regeneration cast on me every once in a while. Blood Bond is the last of the blood magic skills I gave Gwyn. It not only helps her to add an additional hex for Unnatural Signet to an enemy, but it also allows her to give some health back to party members. Now moving on to Olias's build. The Necromancer in your party should have Blood of the Master, because it's very good for minion upkeep. Now remember, this is not a minion bomber, so what you'll be doing is creating a minion wall that's sustained. Kare's Healing Circle, which is also swappable for heal area, is one of those spells that AI knows how to use very well, but it's not so great in the hands of a human. Olias can actually use this to not only heal himself, but also the minions that he has following him. Animate Flesh Golem is probably the most controversial and odd of the skills on his bar. You could easily swap this for Aura of the Lich or some other skill, but I suggest this one because his energy management, while it's on his bar, I don't know why, but his energy management seems to be better. and also he upkeeps the minion wall better when he has a flesh golem instead of something else. Shambling horrors are really great for causing bleeding, putting on status effects, and just generally messing up the enemy line and also upkeep. Animate Bone Fiend is a fantastic skill which Elias uses very well, even though its high energy cost is insane, because he's maintaining the minions indefinitely with more patience than a human would ever have. He's able to upkeep the Bone Fiends better than if he was upkeeping Bone Horrors, and I totally suggest bringing this along instead of Bone Horrors. With Dark Bond, Elias is able to transfer 75% of incoming damage to his nearest ally or servant, in this case, an undead minion. So what that means is his health bar is effectively quadrupled when you think about that. Next, we have Taste of Death, which, just in case that quadrupled health bar still doesn't manage to help him live, he can quickly eat one of his minions and then gain the health needed from it. Taste of Death you don't really need on the bar, but I don't know, I bring it along, and Elias is the one that always stays alive, which is why I also put Renew Life on him. Renew Life is a res spell that doesn't just heal him, but also heals all of his minions when he casts it, and that's why that's there. Now here's where I should point out that Vex build is really great in working with conjunction with another Elementalist with the same build. So if you want, feel free to slap this exact same build on your Zed Shadowhoof or your Acolyte Sosuke, and bring them along too for a very fun time just nuking everything in sight. Searing Flames, of course, is the catalyst that actually causes this whole incident to happen, because it deals 106 fire damage to foes that are already burning, and if they're not burning, it sets them on fire. Glowing Gaze also is some great energy management, stealing energy from enemies that are on fire, or rather just gaining energy. Liquid Flame is just a generic damage-dealing spell. I mean, if you could come up with something better to put in that slot, feel free to experiment around with it, but I find Liquid Flame to be just fine for damage dealing. Drain Enchantment is really useful for gaining energy fast. Power Drain, again, energy management. Leech Signet, again, energy management, because they will be spamming a spell that constantly eats 15 energy, and even with their high energy rate, I suspect the heroes will eventually drain, and so you want to just give them something. And Glyph of Lesser Energy, of course, again, energy management. And finally, Fire Attunement, which is, again, more energy management. So as you can see, it's all about just basically using that one skill over and over again, Searing Flames repeatedly, and it really, really, really works, in my opinion. It's effective, it hurts them a lot. I know it's not, very diverse, but I like it. And it seems to work very well for me, especially in speed clearing areas. Oh dear, sorry about that, guys and gals. It seems that I have apparently run out of time, so you'll now have to click here to watch part 2, wherein I explain my build, and also I give a general explanation of how you should set up your equipment in terms of using staffs. I'm not very big on 40-40 sets, don't get me wrong, they work and they're effective. It's just that staffs are probably best for this type of build team.